This is Steve Curtis, Customer Experience Lead for Columbus Global. This webinar is part 3 of the Connected Field Service series of webinars, and this one is entitled Enabling Your Remote Workforce. Looking again at Dynamics 365 for Field Service. Dynamics 365 for Field Service, very customer-centric application. Includes connected field service capabilities to connect IoT devices, so that you can move from a break-fix scenario to a never-fail scenario. And it includes full mobile capability both for phone and for tablet devices for the technicians. We'll talk about that in this webinar. Inventory and asset management for the customer assets that you are then maintaining. The ability to schedule and dispatch a remote engineer, which we saw in webinar number 2. And the ability to create proactive service agreements to create work orders as part of a ongoing schedule. So if you look at Connected Field Service, just to look at the series of the 3 webinars that we've done, the first part of this is to be able to reduce downtime, getting alerts from the connected devices, and then being able to create the case and then to create the work order automatically from this IoT alert that you get. And then what we did in part 2 is we looked at the schedule board and the ability to reduce maintenance costs by dispatching the technician out to do that work when needed. And what we're going to look on this one is the mobile application that allows your service technicians to deliver a first-time fix. So we're going to go into demonstration mode now with Connected Field Service. So we're now in Field Service Mobile. Field Service Mobile is an application that is included with Dynamics 365 Field Service and Connected Field Service, and it allows the remote engineers to be able to access and see the work orders that have been created and allocated to them at the start of the day or during the day. Now, as an organization, you have a lot of different configurable capabilities within Field Service Mobile. So it has its own development tool to allow you to cut down or to add to the number of assets that the field service engineer can see. Do you want the field service engineer to see just his work orders? Do you want them drip fed so that as he does a job, he gets the next work order, etc., etc. So there's a lot of deep configurability that's behind the scenes for Field Service Mobile. Now, the application also is fully offline capable. So at the moment we're online with Field Service Mobile, but I can, if I want to, go into offline mode, or when I'm in an area that doesn't have network access, it will still continue to operate, and then it will synchronize back to the server when the engineer gets back onto a network again. The ability to have this running fully and discreetly in offline mode is obviously it's a critical capability for field service applications. You can't have a remote engineer who can't see anything when they're not online, because we've had remote engineers that are out on oil rigs in the middle of the sea. We've had them down, down doing jobs in pipes underneath the ground. You're not always going to have internet access wherever you are. So it's absolutely critical for the remote engineer to be able to get offline access as well as online for the system. Now, just in terms of platforms that this runs on, it runs happily on Android, it runs on iOS, so Apple devices, and it runs on Windows devices. And it typically will run on a tablet device, and it can also run on a phone. So it's fully optimized for both. Just a quick example of the way that it looks if you're on phone. And I'll do this again when we go into the work order. So if I shrink this down, you can see that this is the type of view that you will get if you're on a mobile phone, for instance. And then if we start going into the work orders, and again I'll zoom it back out and then we'll zoom it back in. If I drop into a work order, we can see a work order here. This is the one that we've allocated earlier for number 24 Queens Road. And again, I can click on that work order and it will open it out. And at the moment, we've got this view sort of horizontal, where we can see the work order and the menus over on this side. Then we can see the individual work order, and then we've clicked on it and got it over here. Now, if I resize that, you notice that now it's changed its view, and I've got this little arrow over here which allows me to move from the individual work order to the list of work orders to the list of entities in the system. So, and I still have full operational capability even with a phone style of device. Obviously, I think a lot of people are probably going to be running this from tablets. That's what we've seen so far, but the ability to run on phone can be very useful in certain situations. So, what does David Zane have available to him? Obviously, the most critical thing is the work order, but the next thing that David's going to know or want to know is exactly where is this located. Now, he can do one of two things. He can either scroll down on the work order itself, and here we've got the map of where that particular job needs to be. Now, we might not know where that job is. So what we can do, and again, there's multiple routes, is we can do a navigate to that address, and it will then look at where David is at the moment, and it will then put together an optimized route map for David to get to that location. So you can see that this is calculating 1 hour and 12 based upon 55.7 miles, a 6-minute delay on that with light traffic to get to his next job from where he is at the moment. Okay, now if we go down into the work order itself, if you remember, the work order has a number of different steps involved in doing the work. So let's assume that David Zane arrives at the location, he opens the work order, and then he goes down to the list of things that need to be done. Now, if you notice, all of these tabs can be collapsed. So we could go, okay, I'm not interested in the address. I'm not interested in the map. I'm interested in the service tasks that I need to do. And the first thing I'm going to do is to go in and maybe to isolate the power. So you can go through and start to work on the different steps. I've got 15 minutes estimated duration to do this. I can make notes along the way. So if I want to, I can say, maybe this was behind the cover. Something like that. I'm not going to do that at this point in time. And then the other thing that you can do is you can go in and say, when you get through and you complete this, there's a number of different ways of doing this, but you could update this to, this particular part of the job is 100% complete. Now, as soon as I press save on this, what's going to happen is it's going to update the schedule board back at base. You can see it's just done that. It's pushing that back in, syncing it back onto the server. Now, if I'm offline, it obviously won't do that, but as soon as it gets network access, it will then resynchronize that. The value of that is that if I'm back at base and I'm a scheduler, I can then real time, I can see the updates that are going on with regards to this particular job. Okay. Now, one other thing that we get with this is we've driven to the location, we can see the products and services, we can see the service tasks and start to tick them off as we go along. We can add activities as we go along. We also potentially have the ability to recommend other products. So now this is an optional capability that you can go in and say, okay, we've got this work order and it's actually maintaining a duo lift. And we've noticed maybe in this situation that, we could sell a folding chair, which sits in the duo lift. It's an accessory. And if we want to, we can do this a number of different routes, but it allows the customer the ability to, oh, I'm interested in that. And this is a little bit of cross-sell and upsell capability that you could, if you want to, built into the field service mobile capability, so that your most trusted assets, who are your engineers out on site, most trusted by the client, can actually recommend, or I know of this product and this might be useful for you in this situation. Finally, when the customer is happy with the work, obviously you need to get the customer's signature. You also may want to take photographs along the way. So it has a camera capability, and this is again available on the phone and available on the tablet, so that you can take photographs along the way as the job is progressed, and they will be held in the system again automatically and synchronized back to the server. But when you're ready to go, you can get the customer's signature on the device. That's not a very good signature, but never mind. And again, you can save this back to the server, and that will then update the work order automatically. So field service mobile, just to highlight, if we go down into the view here, I can type in field service mobile, and just to reiterate, the field service mobile is a mobile application that you can get from the relevant application store. It uses your credentials as a user to be able to log in automatically to the system. So just as a highlight, you can notice I'm logged in as David Zane on this particular application, but it has a sign on and sign off capability. And there are also capabilities to say whether you're going to be online automatically when it does its synchronization. You can change colors, you can change charts, you can change information that's available on this application as necessary. So very, very powerful capability, very mature, been used for a number of years and used by a large number of the clients that use Dynamics Field Service. This is Steve Curtis, Customer Experience Lead. We'll now move back into PowerPoint mode. That was just a little bit of a view on the field service mobile application. So looking at the benefits of connected field service, there's a number of critical benefits for organizations that decide to move into field service. Now, bear in mind that this is a fully unified use of field service that connects into your account management, into your sales, and into your core service and case management. So this allows everybody to have visibility of what's going on with your devices, and also allows you to monitor and track on what you need to do if things go wrong. It minimizes the downtime on those devices and allows you to do predictive maintenance rather than the item in question breaking and then you having to go out on a rush to fix the item quickly for the customer. That reduces the maintenance costs. It saves time for you. It allows you to allocate the right technician, and you actually, in a lot of cases, will fix the problem before it becomes a problem for the customer. And that's the most important thing because that keeps uptime as high as possible and makes sure that the customer is happy rather than unhappy. And now the other thing that happens is you get a first time fix because you can actually have this remote application, Dynamics Field Service Mobile, and you can go out, allocate this via the schedule board to the right technicians, give them the right information, and allow them to do the fix first time every time. Now we can potentially supplement this with augmented reality tools. So if you use a product like HoloLens, for instance, from Microsoft, that gives you a full 3D view of the issue in question and has a field service capability built into it so that if you want to explore that, please let us know. It allows you to cross-sell and upsell, so you can, if you want to. I know some organizations don't like to do this via their technicians, but it does have the capability if you want, so that those remote technicians can offer products and services that it adds to the potential bottom line value of field service. And that means that basically coming out of it, your repairs, your utilization, and your performance data allows you to really think about the future for your products and your services. If you're seeing trends where certain devices are failing more than others, the amount of data that you're getting out of this system will enable you to see and track which are your reliable devices, how often things potentially move into break mode, where you have to send engineers out. And this again enables and gives you more visibility so that you can do predictive maintenance on those devices in the future. This is Steve Curtis, Customer Experience Lead for Columbus Global. This was part 3 of a series of webinars around connected field service. This was focused very much on the mobile view for the remote engineer. And thank you for your time.